We've all heard the myths about dogs and cats, and some have a basis of truth, while others aren't even close. So what's fact and what's fiction? Well, Dr. Ashley Gallagher joins us with the truth about cats and dogs. Hello, Dr. Gallagher. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, you know, most of us grow up hearing that dogs wag their tail when they're happy, right? This is something we hear. We also hear maybe that a wet nose means your dog is healthy. Are these fact or fiction?
So dogs certainly do wag their tails when they're happy, but they can also wag their tails if they're nervous or upset about something. So it's important for people to realize that our pets, our dogs and our cats' only way of communicating with us is via this complex body language that is very clear to them but might not be so clear to us because we're looking for more vocal cues. So it's important to start to, take notice of what your dog's tail is doing. Are his ears up or down? And that will really help strengthen your relationship if you can start to read what your dog is telling you.
Can you tell me what it means if their ears are up or down? What is the fact?
It's different for every dog, but in general, they're very alert if their ears are perked and up. If they're kind of off to the side, perhaps they're a little nervous. Some dogs, if their ears are really slicked back to their head, then they may be feeling threatened.
Oh, wow.
And there's all different gradations in between there. So there's people that study just body language of animals. It's fascinating.
Well, what about the wet nose? Is that a myth or is that a fact?
That's a myth, unfortunately. That one is a good old wives' tale, but there are plenty of healthy, happy dogs that have a dry, warm nose, and it really isn't a good barometer for their health status. Okay,
good to know. Well, let's get to some of the more serious myths. Are table scraps okay for a pet?
Table scraps are not my favorite. We have here, if you look, there's a 1 ounce piece of cheese. That 1 ounce piece of cheese, if you fed that to a 20-pound dog, it's like a person eating 1.5 chocolate bars.
Whoa.
You feed that piece of cheese to a 10-pound cat, it's like a person eating 3 chocolate bars.
Wow.
So table scraps should be viewed as empty calories. You really want to focus on giving them precisely balanced nutrition. That's why I love a food like Hill's Science Diet. It's formulated for their specific life stage and any special needs that they have. It's precisely balanced nutrition to give them the nutrients they want without anything excess that might be harmful to them.
Well, I have to ask you this because you're mentioning cheese, and dogs love cheese, clearly, but are milk and dairy products okay for your pets?
It depends on the pet. Dogs and cats, just like people, can be lactose intolerant. So if you feed your cat milk, it can cause them to get an upset stomach, or you give your dog a little cheese and it might not sit so well.
Okay, good to know. And we also know that obesity is really a problem for a lot of dogs and cats out there. Would letting the dog run around the house be included as something you would consider exercise?
It helps, but you really, dogs and cats need physical and mental stimulation. So just keeping them cooped up inside of the house, or even just letting them out into the backyard to sit and stare at the sky isn't the best. You want to get out there with them, go for a walk around the block with your dog, play with your cat with some toys inside the house. Make sure that you're stimulating their brain in addition to getting them some exercise.
Okay, that's a good tip. And we often hear about pets being surrendered, especially lately because owners can't afford them. If someone is going to bring their pet into their home, what should they expect to spend for things like food and care?
Well, it varies across the country, but before people get a pet, they really should consider the financial commitment. You're bringing a pet into your home, and you're committing to carrying them for hopefully 10, 15 years, which those vet bills, and you're going to the vet every year for vaccines and heartworm prevention and flea and tick prevention, everything should be considered because it is a big commitment.
Absolutely, and that's great advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Gallagher. We hope to keep all our dogs and cats a lot happier and healthier thanks to you. We appreciate you being with us.
Thanks for having me.